Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're heading over to Paris.
Ooh la la.
Not literally, of course, but we're going to be talking about the incredible restoration of the Notre Dame Cathedral.
Absolutely.
You know, back in 2019, I think the whole world just kind of watched in shock as this fire just ravaged this iconic landmark.
It really did feel like a loss for all of humanity.
Oh, yeah.
Notre Dame, it's so much more than just a building.
Right.
It's 850 years old.
Yeah.
A symbol of history, art, and faith for so many people.
It's true. And the crazy thing is, just 5 years later, it's about to reopen.
I know, isn't that wild?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
We've got a couple articles here, one from NPR and one from PBS.
Great.
That offer kind of different perspectives on, how they pulled off what seemed impossible.
Well, and what I think is so interesting is how this restoration wasn't just about fixing the damage that was done.
Yeah.
It was a chance to essentially rebuild Notre Dame from the inside out.
Okay, wait, rebuild it from the inside. That sounds pretty intense.
I know, and that's something that's never been done before in its history.
Wow. And I think the PBS article mentioned that they had to use over 1,300 stones to restore the walls and vaults.
Yeah, can you imagine
No.
the planning
Unbelievable.
that had to go into that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that highlights the commitment to, getting this restoration right.
Right.
It wasn't just like, oh, let's slap on some new stones.
Yeah.
They were meticulously recreating the structure to ensure its integrity for, hopefully another few centuries.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
But how on earth did they manage to do this in 5 years?
I know. It's really a testament to the dedication and collaboration of everyone involved.
Yeah.
Over 1,200 artisans and craftspeople
Wow.
brought their skills to the table, working alongside, engineers and architects.
Right.
Even President Macron
Oh, wow.
met magicians turning charcoal into art.
I love that. And the NPR article really captures that. The scale of this human effort that went into this.
Mm-hmm.
And they mentioned that the lead carpenter, Patrick Jouen, actually quit his job before even knowing he'd be part of the restoration.
Wow, what a leap of faith.
Talk about a leap of faith, right?
Mm.
Like, I'm going to be part of this somehow.
Exactly.
I don't know how, but I am.
Yeah, and his story really highlights that personal connection so many people felt
Yeah.
to this project. It wasn't just a job.
Right.
It was a calling,
Yeah.
an opportunity to be a part of something so much bigger than themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And get this, to recreate the iconic spire, him and his team actually used 19th century documents and traditional carpentry techniques.
Wow.
It's like they were reaching back through time
I love that.
to connect with the original builders.
That's what's so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
They weren't just rebuilding Notre Dame,
Right.
but they were also preserving these centuries-old craftsmanship,
Yeah.
ensuring that these techniques live on.
That's incredible. And
Yeah.
speaking of transformation.
Yes. The NPR article mentioned how the cathedral now feels lighter
Really?
than before the fire. Like centuries of grime and soot were cleaned away, and now you see the true brilliance of the stone and the stained glass.
It's almost as if the fire, tragic as it was, gave them this chance to rediscover the cathedral's beauty in a whole new way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
It is. It's
Yeah.
almost like a phoenix rising from the ashes,
It is. It is.
It really is.
And this whole innovative approach to rebuilding,
Yeah.
it led to some unexpected discoveries too, right?
Absolutely.
The PBS article mentioned that archaeologists were actually able to study sections of the cathedral that had been inaccessible for
Oh, that's
centuries.
so crazy, right?
Yeah.
It allowed them to learn so much more
Yeah.
about the cathedral's construction and how it evolved over time, so it added this whole other layer of depth to the project.
I mean, the whole thing just seems so symbolic.
Right.
The return of the Virgin of Paris statue.
That the PBS article describes, that must have been incredibly moving for Parisians.
It was.
Thousands gathered to sing and accompany the statue back to the cathedral.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about putting a statue back in place. It was about restoring this symbol of faith
Right.
and hope and resilience for the entire community.
Right.
The Virgin of Paris represents so much more than just a religious figure.
Yeah.
She's a protector, a source of comfort,
Yeah.
a link to the city's history and identity.
Yeah. It's true. And it wasn't just Parisians who felt that connection, right?
No, not at all.
People from all over the world donated to this restoration effort.
They did. It truly became a global endeavor,
Yeah.
a testament to how deeply Notre Dame resonates with people from all walks of life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the PBS article mentions that donations poured in from individuals, corporations, even foreign governments,
Wow.
which speaks volumes about the cathedral's significance as a World Heritage Site, a symbol of shared human history and culture.
Yeah, it's a reminder that some things just transcend borders and differences.
Absolutely.
Everybody kind of understands the importance of preserving something like this for future generations.
They do, and it brings up a really crucial point.
Okay.
The use of modern technology in the restoration process.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the PBS article just kind of briefly touches on it,
Yeah.
but it was instrumental in ensuring the accuracy and the efficiency of this project.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that. What kind of technologies did they use?
Well, for instance, they used 3D laser scanning
Mm-hmm.
to create this detailed digital model of the entire cathedral.
Wow.
And this allowed them to analyze the damage with incredible precision
Oh, wow.
and plan the restoration down to the millimeter.
That's amazing.
They also used drones to inspect the spire and other hard-to-reach areas, so it provided them with insights that they wouldn't have been able to get otherwise.
So they combined centuries-old craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology.
They did.
It's pretty remarkable.
It's a testament to the ingenuity and the adaptability of the restoration team.
Yeah.
They understood that preserving Notre Dame meant embracing both tradition and innovation, finding that perfect balance between old and new.
I'm curious, what was it like inside the cathedral before the fire? Was the atmosphere different?
Well, I actually had the opportunity to visit Notre Dame a few years before the fire.
Oh, wow.
And I distinctly remember how dimly lit the interior was.
Really?
Yeah, centuries of soot and dust had accumulated on the stone and the stained glass.
Yeah.
And it muted the colors and created this sense of somberness.
Wow.
Almost like a veil over the beauty.
So you're saying that the cleaning process actually revealed all this brilliance in the artwork and the architecture.
Exactly. And I remember reading in the NPR article how the restoration team was just amazed by the vibrancy of the colors once the grime was removed.
Wow.
And, the stained glass windows sparkle now with this renewed brilliance, and the stonework gleams with a luminosity that had been hidden for centuries.
That's amazing.
So it's as if the fire, in a strange twist of fate,
Right.
allowed the cathedral to shine brighter than ever before.
It's pretty powerful.
It is.
It's a pretty powerful metaphor, I think, for resilience and renewal.
Right.
Speaking of which,
Yes.
the PBS article mentioned that this restoration involved rebuilding the entire structure from within, which they say is a first in Notre Dame's history.
It is.
What do you think that tells us about the approach to historical preservation today?
That's a great question. I think it reflects a deeper understanding of the need to balance aesthetics with structural integrity. In the past, restorations might have focused primarily on restoring the outward appearance of a building. But now there's this growing awareness that preserving that structural core is equally important, if not more so, to ensure the longevity of these historical treasures.
It's they're not just restoring the surface, but also strengthening the very foundation of the building.
Precisely.
Wow.
It's a more holistic approach.
Yeah.
Recognizing that true preservation goes beyond just patching up what's visible.
Right.
It's about understanding the building's soul, its very essence, and ensuring that it remains strong and vibrant for generations to come.
I love that analogy of the building's soul.
And it ties in perfectly with this immense outpouring of support and dedication that this project received.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier how donations came from all over the world. It really does speak to the idea that Notre Dame's soul touched countless individuals.
Yeah, it's the spirit of Notre Dame itself rallied people to its cause.
Exactly.
Inspiring them to come together and rebuild something truly extraordinary.
They did. It's an amazing story.
Yeah.
It's incredible, isn't it? To think about all the people who came together to bring Notre Dame back to life. It makes you wonder, what would happen if a fire damaged a landmark in our city? Would we see the same passion? That same dedication?
I know, it's a really interesting thought. It makes you think about, how we're all connected to these places, even if we don't realize it. And it makes you think about what you could do to help, even if you're not, an architect or an artisan.
Exactly. Maybe you could volunteer your time, donate to a restoration fund, or even just talk about it with your friends and family. Spread the word about how important these places are.
Yeah. It's like that old saying, it takes a village. And in this case, it really took a global village to rebuild Notre Dame.
That's a great point. And both of these articles from NPR and PBS, they both talk about how this restoration really brought people together from all over the world.
It did. It's like a reminder that art and culture and history, they can really unite people.
I think you're right.
I think that architect Dominique Perrault said it really well in the PBS article. He said that the restoration shows a country, truly a country, behind this ambition of restitution. But it also shows a world coming together to protect something precious.
Absolutely. It really shows the best of humanity, doesn't it?
It does. It does. So as we wrap up here, what do you think is the most remarkable part of this whole project?
For me, is how they blended the old with the new. The way they combined centuries-old craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology.
Yeah, like the 3D laser scanning we talked about.
Right. That's a perfect example. It allowed them to map every single detail and plan the restoration so precisely.
So they didn't have to choose between old and new. They found a way to use both.
Exactly. And that's what makes this restoration so unique and important.
I agree. So what do you think this means for Notre Dame going forward? What can we learn from this?
Well, I think it's a wake-up call. We can't just wait for a disaster to happen. We have to be proactive about preserving these places.
That's a really good point. It's about being prepared and making sure these landmarks can last.
Right. And it's also about supporting them. Giving our time, our money, our attention.
Because ultimately, these places belong to all of us.
They're part of our shared history.
And it's up to us to keep that history alive.
Couldn't have said it better myself. This whole project, it's a reminder that we can overcome even the toughest challenges.
It is. It's about resilience, it's about community, and it's about the amazing things we can achieve when we work together.
I'm so glad we had a chance to dive into this today.
Yeah, me too. And for all of you listening, if you get a chance, look up some pictures of the restored Notre Dame. It's truly breathtaking.
And as you're looking at those pictures, think about all the people who made it happen.
Yeah. A true testament to the human spirit.
It is.
All right, that's it for our deep dive into the resurrection of Notre Dame. Thanks for joining us.